I've said it 1,000 times. I'll say it again. Case Keenum, Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm so glad we got him. Never a minute in my head have I had doubt that Case Keenum is an MVP caliber quarterback. But speaking of god awful, Case Keenum, he was 20 for 37, 167 yards, and they try to say that that was an admirable performance. Okay. I doubt that Case Keenum is an MVP caliber quarterback. The fact that he's our backup is absolutely spectacular. We have the best quarterback situation in the entire NFL. And yes, Trey Waynes, much better than anybody in the league, especially Xavier Rhodes. There's no competition there. Deion Sanders, okay. Trey Waynes, so much better. He's the GOAT. You've never seen anybody better than Trey Waynes. I've said that from the start. And deep down the sideline, it's Deshaun Jackson. And in coverage, Trey Waynes. Winston scrambling to his right and throws it to the end zone. Mike Evans, touchdown. And Bernie, Trey Waynes. Vikings blitz on 3rd and long, and Winston in the pocket scrambling a bit, finds room, throws it up deep, and it's incomplete, but there's the flag. It's like pass interference on Trey Waynes. Now let's get into the review. Alright guys, the Vikings played the Buccaneers. Let's start with a little game recap, as I am taking notes of this game now to give you guys the best review I could possibly give you. So starting off in the first quarter, Dalvin Cook has a few good runs. He does this a lot throughout the day. He's very consistently looking very good. At the end of the day, he ends up having better numbers for the first 3 weeks of his NFL career than Adrian Peterson. Now, we had a nice big catch over the top, a deep ball to Adam Thielen, and then Cook dives in at the goal line for a touchdown. This was the biggest play of the game because the replay showed the ball came out, and it could have went either way. There wasn't enough evidence to overturn it, so the call stands. But I think if they would have ruled on the field that was a touchdown, all of a sudden the Buccaneers have a lot of momentum, and this guy could flip the whole tide of the game around right there. But as you guys can probably see, end up staying with Minnesota. So the Bucs pick up a few first downs. Waynes gets hurt. When we stop him for a field goal. This was, unfortunately, the best cornerback to ever play the game got hurt, so that's why we gave up a few yards. Now that they kick off, McKinnon takes the ball and like 3 to 5 yards, something like that, and gets tagged up to 15. Stop taking the ball out of the end zone. My God, you don't want the ball at the 13. You want it at the 25. Stop doing that. But Diggs has a nice first down catch, then he drops another first down catch, then we have to punt, and then the Bucs punt on their next drive. And now this is the whole story of the game, really. For our passing attack, it's almost every other pass. Thielen, Diggs, Thielen, Diggs, Thielen, Diggs, Thielen, Diggs. And it kept working, and it worked well. Case Keenum had himself a day. Big catches by Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs, back to back to back. And then a little underneath route by Jarius Wright. He still exists. He got a touchdown. Jarius Wright touchdown. The Vikes extend their lead. The Buccaneers have to punt again. A big story of the game, how well our defense played against the Tampa Bay Bucs. And then the Vikings have a good drive, but then a holding play with Nick Easton brings us back. But then the GOAT himself, after a few nice passes by Winston, throws it in the end zone, intercepted. Trey Waynes, the GOAT, the very best cornerback to ever play the game, intercepted it, did his much better than Deion Sanders impersonation by getting about a 10-yard return. Absolutely phenomenal. Then on the next drive, we had a big catch by Stephon Diggs, and then another deep ball, corner route. Stephon Diggs, touchdown Diggs, to himself an absolute ball game. Second half, Bucs go 3-0 to start it, and then touchdown Stephon Diggs, again, corner pass, touchdown, a deep ball, and then the Buccaneers respond with a touchdown on their own. They have a nice big drive, pretty methodical, and a touchdown. So Cooks gets hurt, and me, and everybody else in Minnesota. A big gasp. Then he comes back, so it's not a big deal. Hopefully, should be just fine. He finishes the game playing. Buck comes back in. 20-yard catch by Thielen. Big run by Cook gets us by the end zone, and a field goal to King Ty Forbath. And then we have an injury, so Tremaine Brock comes in. Deshaun Jackson, whoop, over the top. Tremaine Brock was in position, but for some reason couldn't see the ball. I don't play in the defensive backfield. When I played, I was a defensive lineman, but I can't understand why, if you feel the guy that you're covering jump, why wouldn't you jump and at least get in his way in if you can't find the ball? That's what at least I would do. Now it's the fourth quarter. We go 3-and-out, and then on a nice drive from the Buccaneers, interception, Andrew Sendejo. A big play. He had himself a day. He sure, his coverage skills aren't the best, but he's in position almost every time. He's a very smart safety. He was laying down the hammer all day today. He had some of the biggest hits that I've seen. And I have a meme right there. He made a guy shat himself. It was absolutely incredible. And now we're trying to run the ball out. So we have a nice run by Keenum. We end up kicking a field goal, take some time off the clock. Now the last drive, the Buccaneers are driving. Intercepted. Harrison Smith. Game over. Keenum hands the ball off to Cook a few times. He takes a knee. GG. Bucs. I predicted it once again. I am 100% right in my YouTube predictions. And the Vikings will lose 31-21. The Vikings would, of course, win this game by a good margin. Almost a lot like my NFL simulation. If you guys didn't see that on my Madden simulation, where in this game, Winston threw 3 interceptions. He had 5 turnovers in my Madden simulation. So Madden was just a little bit higher. But Bradford played in that game too, so maybe it wasn't the best. But stat-wise, let's look at this. Starting with yo boy Case Keenum. It was 25 for 33 for 369 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Now those people who are good football fans like myself, this is no big surprise whatsoever. We knew Case Keenum's the best quarterback in the game, easy, clear-cut MVP candidate. So there's no reason to think that he shouldn't be able to do this for every game going on in the future, because he is just that good of a caliber quarterback. So there's no reason to think that he can't continue to do this. And we should probably trade Teddy and Sam for backup safety as soon as we can. Running backs. Dalvin Cook. 27 attempts for 97 yards and a touchdown. 26 was his long. His day was incredible all day long. Case Keenum was second on the list with 6 attempts for 18 yards. 3 was the average, 12 was the long. I think 2 or 3 of those were kneel downs, so those numbers are skewed a bit. Jerick McKinnon, 2 for 5, 2.5 average. 4 was the long. Latavius Murray, 2 for 5, 2.5 average, 3 long. I'm surprised that Murray hasn't been into the offense as much. Now the big guys on the offense who were making plays, Stephon Diggs led the way, 8 interceptions, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns. His long was 53. Randy Moss, who? Maybe too quick for that, but my God, Stephon Diggs. Yeah, I think he had a drop or 2 early on, but then just turned it on, absolutely burning the Tampa Bay backfield. Now, of course, Brent Grimes was hurt, and Hargraves was definitely not 100% as he came in and out a few times during the game. So he was on at the very most the top 2, probably 3rd or 4th best cornerback on the Bucs. But if you have a good game, you have to give a shout out to our offensive coordinator, Pat Shermer, for putting him in the position, putting us in the line packages. I don't know if Case Keenum would be in the position to do audibles, to change it to the plays where we can make those mismatches, but we had those all day, and it really showed with our top 2 guys extremely outperforming what we thought they would. And now Thielen, 5 receptions for 98 yards, another day for Thielen, where he's just an absolute beast. Dalvin Cook, 5 receptions for 72 yards. Finally, the dual threat back is here. He had some drops early on. He was been working on it. A lot of practice catching the ball in practice, and it's paying off. So talking about Dalvin Cook with his 72 receiving yards and 97 rushing yards, you're talking about back over 150 total yards. That's great. We'll take that every single time. TJ Ham 1 for 12, and nobody else really performed a whole lot. But and defensively, Harrison Smith 8 tackles with the pass deflected and the interception. Anderson Dejo was second with 5. Eric Kendricks with 4. And also look at what those defenders did to the Buccaneers offense, who struggled so much throughout this game. Winston's stats look good on paper, but he was flustered throughout the entire game, not making many throws at all. Mike Evans was blanketed, and it shows. But let's look at his numbers. He was 28 for 40 for 328 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. The only part that looks bad is the 3 interceptions, but if you saw the 3 quarters of his stat sheet, you'd be like, wow, he had a good game. But they did not run the ball whatsoever. Rodgers had 5 attempts for 15 yards. Winston had 1 for 4. Sims 2 for 4. Reedy 1 for 3. That looks like it's like you're playing a PvP on Madden, and the other person gives up on their running game in the first quarter. That's what that looks like, and they're just taking it back and throwing it deep to their guy Mike Evans. That's feel like a real life game. Now you're looking at receiving. Deshaun Jackson has 4 for 84, my number 1 target, my number 1 threat that I was scared of in coming into this game. He also had a touchdown. His long was 32. That's not bad. I was expecting much more, and we held him in check. Humphreys at 6 for 68. Mike Evans blanketed by Xavier Rhodes all day, 7 for 67, and threw a fit on the sideline. Now their defense was absolutely devastated by injuries, even though their best players were getting hurt all day. Goldstein had 9 tackles, Beckworth had 8, Glanton had 8, so on and so forth. A lot of injuries. McCoy got hurt towards the end of the game. Levante Davis got hurt. A lot of their best players are getting hurt throughout the game. So hope those guys all get healthy, because I have nothing negative against the Bucs. They're a losing team today because they had to play our Vikings. But besides for that, I think they're a solid team, and I hope those guys get healthy, because we are Minnesota. I'd rather beat these guys when they're at their best. But it looks good when we blow these guys out, even if it's due to a few injuries, illnesses, whatever. But there we have it. The Vikings destroying the Buccaneers in a one-sided game. And moving on to next week. So we'll see you guys in the next Vikings preview coming up. And I'll be doing my simulation in the middle of this week just like last week. So we'll see you guys then.